Imagine standing on the edge of a mountain at dawn, the first light of day hitting the horizon, and you realize that the camera in your hand can capture more detail than the human eye can even process. This isn't a dream of the distant future. It is the reality Sony is about to drop on the world in 2026. For years, we have been locked in a battle between speed and resolution, often forced to choose between the raw power of a sports camera or the surgical precision of a high-megapixel beast. But the latest leaks surrounding the Sony A7R VI suggest that the resolution war isn't just continuing, it's about to end with a total knockout. We're talking about a machine that doesn't just iterate on the A7R VI, it aims to systematically dismantle the need for medium-format photography altogether. Welcome back to my channel Tech Rivet for exclusive insights into the future of tech. Subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon for more tech updates. Asterisk now, looking into the heart of why the photography world is currently in a state of absolute shock. The whispers coming out of the supply chain in early 2026 are pointing toward one specific world-shaking number, 80.2 megapixels. For context, the industry has been comfortable at the 61 megapixel mark for a while now, but Sony is reportedly ready to shatter that ceiling with a brand new XMR RS stacked CMOS sensor. This isn't just about bigger files. It's about a fundamental shift in how data is read. Because this is a stacked sensor, the readout speeds are expected to be astronomical, potentially allowing for 30 frames per second of continuous shooting in 14-bit RAW. Think about that for a second. You're getting medium format levels of detail with the burst speed of a professional sports camera. It's a combination that shouldn't exist, yet here we are, looking at leaks that suggest Sony has finally cracked the code on high-density heat management and data processing. But the sensor is only half the story. To move that much data without the camera melting in your hands, Sony is allegedly introducing the BIONZ XR2 processor. This chip is rumored to be a computational powerhouse, specifically designed to handle the massive 10.9K oversampling required for the A7R VI's new video modes. While the R line has always been stills-focused, the 2026 leaks suggest Sony is making a serious play for the hybrid market. We are looking at 8K 30p video that is oversampled from the full width of that 80MP sensor. This means the level of sharpness and clarity in your video footage will be unlike anything we've seen in the Alpha lineup before. And for those who need even more, the Pixel Shift multi-shooting mode is being upgraded to a staggering 320 megapixel composite. If you're a landscape or architectural photographer, the level of archival detail here is almost frightening. One of the most exciting leaks centers around AI Skeletal Prediction Autofocus 2.0. We saw the beginnings of this in the A7R VI, but the 2026 version is said to use deep learning to predict subject movement before it even happens. It's not just tracking an eye anymore. It's understanding the physics of how a human or animal moves. If a bird is behind a branch, the camera knows exactly where the head will emerge based on its flight path. This level of predictive intelligence, paired with 8.5 stops of in-body image stabilization, IBIS, means that the keeper rate for professional photographers is going to approach 100%. You could be shooting a fast-moving subject in low light at 80 megapixels, and the camera will still nail the focus with surgical precision. The physical design of the A7R VI is also seeing a massive overhaul based on user feedback. Leaked patent drawings and prototype sightings suggest a deeper, more ergonomic grip borrowed directly from the Sony A7R II. This is a crucial change because, let's be honest, 80MP RAW files and high-speed bursts require beefier cooling and better handling. The rear LCD is also rumored to be 50% brighter than previous models, making it actually usable in the harsh midday sun of the California desert or the bright snow of the Rockies. Sony is also reportedly sticking with the 4-axis multi-angle screen, which has become a fan favorite for its ability to flip out for vlogging or tilt for studio work. Now, let's talk about the medium format killer tag that everyone is buzzing about. Traditionally, if you wanted 80 or 100 megapixels, you had to jump to a Fuji GFX or a Hasselblad D, which meant slower autofocus, bulkier lenses, and a much more deliberate shooting style. Sony is positioning the A7R VI to offer that same level of detail, but within the massive E-mount ecosystem. Imagine having the resolution of a Phase 1 in a body that fits in a small shoulder bag and uses lenses you already own. This is the move that has competitors sweating. The dynamic range is rumored to hit 16 plus stops, which bridges that final gap between full frame and larger sensors. You'll be able to pull details out of the deepest shadows and preserve highlights in high-contrast scenes in a way that was previously reserved for cameras costing $10,000 or more. Of course, with all this power comes the question of price and availability. The most reliable leaks suggest a launch window of late 2026, likely just before the holiday season. The price point is expected to land somewhere between $3,999 and $4,499. While that is a significant investment, when you compare it to the cost of a medium format setup, it actually looks like a bargain for a professional studio or commercial photographer. Sony knows they have the leverage here. They aren't just selling a camera. They're selling the ultimate bridge between two different worlds of photography. But there's a catch that we have to discuss. 80-megapixel files are massive. We're talking about a workflow nightmare if you aren't prepared. A single uncompressed RAW file could easily exceed 150 megabytes. This means photographers are going to need to invest heavily in CF Express Type A cards and high-speed SSD storage. Sony seems to be aware of this, as rumors suggest the A7R VI will feature even more advanced, lossless compressed RAW options to keep file sizes manageable without sacrificing the incredible latitude of the sensor. There is also talk of a dedicated AI sorting feature built into the camera's playback system, helping you cull through thousands of high-res images to find the sharpest ones instantly. The video side of things is also seeing some strategic limitations to keep the A7R VI from cannibalizing the Sony A1 or the FX series. For instance, leaks suggest there will be no open gate recording and no internal RAW video. Sony wants to keep the R line clearly defined as a high-resolution stills monster that can do incredible video, rather than a dedicated cinema camera. However, for 95% of creators, oversampled 8K and 4K 120p with a slight crop will be more than enough to create world-class content. The thermal architecture is also said to be vastly improved, with a passive cooling system that allows for over an hour of 8K recording without the dreaded overheating warning. As we look at the broader landscape of 2026, it's clear that Sony is doubling down on their alpha dominance. The A7R VI represents the pinnacle of what is possible with current silicon and sensor technology. It is a camera designed for the perfectionists, the people who crop 400% into an image and still expect to see every eyelash and every grain of sand. It's for the landscape photographers who want to print billboard-sized images without losing an ounce of clarity. And it's for the commercial pros who need to deliver the highest quality files to clients who demand nothing less than perfection. The hype is real, and the evidence is mounting. From the 80MP stack sensor to the AI-driven autofocus that feels like it's from the next decade, the Sony A7R VI is shaping up to be the most significant release in the history of the R series. It's not just a tool, it's a statement of intent. Sony is telling the world that they aren't afraid to push boundaries, even if it means making their own previous flagships look outdated. If you've been waiting for the right time to upgrade, 2026 might just be the year that changes everything for your photography. We are entering a new era of imaging, and the A7R VI is the one leading the charge. Every leak we've seen so far points to a machine that is refined, powerful, and unapologetically ambitious. Whether you're a hardcore Sony fan or someone looking to jump ship from another brand, the A7R VI is a camera that you simply cannot ignore. It represents the intersection of art and engineering at its highest level. As we move closer to the official announcement, the excitement is only going to grow. Stay tuned, because the future of high-resolution photography is almost here, and it's wearing a Sony badge. The technical leaps here also suggest Sony is thinking about the longevity of the E-mount. With lenses like the 50mm f/1.2 GM and the newer 35mm primes, Sony already has glass that can resolve these high pixel counts. They've been building the foundation for an 80MP sensor for years, and now the hardware is finally catching up to the glass. It's a symbiotic relationship between optics and electronics that no other manufacturer has quite mastered to this degree. When you look at the A7R VI, you aren't just looking at a new sensor. You're looking at the culmination of a decade of lens development. Finally, we have to consider the impact on the used market. When the A7R VI drops, the legendary A7R VI is going to become an incredible value for hobbyists. But for the pros, the allure of that stacked sensor and the 80MP resolution will be too much to resist. This is the cycle of innovation that keeps the industry moving forward, and in 2026, Sony is the one setting the pace. The leaks have given us a roadmap, and that roadmap leads to a world where there are no more compromises. You can have the speed, you can have the resolution, and you can have the smartest autofocus on the planet, all in one body. That is the promise of the Sony A7R VI.